She did the soundtrack to the Super Mario and Luigi games, I believe. And Kingdom Hearts. And other stuff, but I know her from Kingdom Hearts. And she was who inspired me to get into composition in the first place. Hello YouTube, hello VOD watchers. I think that we just went live on YouTube. I don't really know how it works, because I hit the go live button, and then like 30 seconds later I get a notification saying I'm live on YouTube. So I don't know, maybe I'm live before that, but either way. So I went to the taco shop down the road, right, before stream today, and I got a steak and egg burrito. I get that because it's easy on my stomach, and I don't want to have an upset stomach or messed up throat or anything. Hold on. I don't want to be talking over this song. How do you go to the how do you go next? How do you go next? There used to be like a next. I'm just gonna click at the end. There we go. Get mojed. Anyway, so I went and got that. And every time I do, they ask, you know, as you're supposed to, they ask, you know, salsa. And every time I say no, I'm not a salsa guy. I'm not a sauce guy, you know? And I think it upsets them. Every time they look like a little bit annoyed when I say no salsa. They're like a little bit mad at me. I don't like... I got the sauce, and that's the thing. I have enough sauce myself, you know? I don't need more sauce. You're gonna make me soggy. I'm gonna become a soggy doggy. But I don't know. I'm not like a sauce guy. I like hot sauce, but I don't put it on anything because it's like, I don't know. To me, sauces are so overpowering. You know? So it's like when I put hot sauce on something, it's because I don't like the way it tastes very much, you know? So I put the hot sauce on it because I like the way hot sauce tastes. And so like when it's something that I do like want to taste and enjoy and eat, like why would I put sauce on it? It's so overpowering. I want to taste the food. I don't want to taste the sauce. I only use the sauce on things that I don't like. You know, I don't know. That's my position. But whenever they ask me, and I say no, they get mad. They get mad at me. They hate me. Anyway, that's what I was thinking about today. That's what I was thinking about today. Another thing I was thinking about... Oh no, there's an update for the Roottrees Are Dead? Why do they keep updating this game? It came out in 2003. Let's read the patch notes real quick. Contains fixes for typos on French. Added simplified Chinese logo for gallery house for Chinese players. Okay. Good. We love that. Can I be honest with you? I've been dreading today. It's true. I've been dreading today. I've been worried. I've been concerned. Well, The reason I've been dreading today is because we have to finish the Roottrees Are Dead. And I'm so... I don't know. I'm scared because it's really hard. And not only because it's really hard, but because they hit me with a curveball here. In case you don't remember what happened at the end of last stream that made me crash out. At the end of last stream, I completed the family tree. I completed the family tree, so to me, that means I beat the game, right? I look, everyone's green. Everyone's green. I got them all. Every single member of the family tree. Well, okay. This person's not green, but I don't care that much. Because they are not a real root tree. They're just a spouse. They're just a husband. Who cares? But despite getting everyone green and locked in, that's not enough. That's not enough for this game. Because then they showed up, and then they said, okay, we need you. So we found out that maybe some of these people aren't biologically root trees. And so they gave me next to all of these people, or not all of them, but some of them, like this guy, they're like, you have to tell us, is he a root tree or is he not a root tree? Is he a blood relative? Is he not blood related? Or maybe he is. And I don't fucking know, bro. Because it's been like it's been weeks. It's been weeks since I read anything about Mark Clementine, you know? Or Stuart Clementine. I don't remember. So you want me to go back and read everything about them? And that kind of annoyed me. But, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe it's not so bad. Maybe all I needed to do was have a week reset. Because they do give us this, you know, and it's got smoking guns. So theoretically, I should be able to look at these and know for a fact whether they are or are not a root tree, right? Let's try it with Mr. Hammerbro here. Okay, let's see. Sam's book has a few different passages about her own history with the company and the rumors and gossip that she collected for a period starting around 1968, after the death of Elias Roottree until her daughter Gwyneth took over in 1984. Most of the relevant rumors coincide with the reign of Guy Hudson, who took over as president in 1978. This was 20 years ago, and Sam warns that most of it is hearsay. Still, you find the following information that may be relevant. One of Sam's farm supervisors was named Elizabeth. Oh no. According to Elizabeth, a caterer from a local restaurant called Antonelli's met her daughter at one of Guy's parties, and they eloped quickly. Guy's main positive contribution to the company involved expanding the markets previously untapped. There's also a section where Sam speculates that Elias may have also cheated on Gwyneth. Gwyneth was always much kinder to Sam than Elias was. Elias once had a secretary named... Okay, so I don't know what that has to do with this guy. Hold on, where is he? I don't know. Now that I'm here again, I'm like annoyed. I'm like, what are you talking about? That I have to like confirm that they are root trees. I did that already. So many girls have taken multiple lovers. How could it be so hard to love someone you can reach out and touch, someone you can joke with? Blood is thicker than syrup, but nothing's thicker than Elias. They mimic Grandma Gwyneth's lisp and see her kindness as a weakness. Eliath, Pleath, remember Tham. Not even our family's maladies and religion go unmocked. Remember, God only put one eye in miracle. I don't know. I don't know what they want me to do here. I'm not seeing anything in these articles that, like, confirm or deny that he is a root tree. And now I'm annoyed. It's true. It may be not. Hello, Juffo. How are you doing? And, like, there's reason to believe that this guy might not be a root tree, you know? Because, well, yeah, if we click him, he's a basket baby, supposedly. He was left at their home in a basket. This is Root Tree Mania. I already beat the base game, and as far as I'm concerned, I beat Root Tree Mania already as well. Because if you'll take a look here... Everyone's green. Everyone's green. Everyone's green. Everyone's green. I locked everyone in. Sounds good. No spoilers. No spoilers, Jeffo. I'll look back up here. But yeah, where was I? I was saying this guy. He could theoretically be not a root tree because of the basket baby article. You know? They left a baby on her doorstep in a basket. According to the sites, she adopted him without question and raised him as her own son, although it wasn't national news. In many circles, he became known as the basket baby. But the thing is, we don't know if he's actually a basket baby because, you know, being a basket baby could be a lie, you know? Like, she could just be lying about adopting him, you know? That would be a good way to hide your affair, right? If you said, oh, the baby is actually... I adopted this baby. Someone left it at my doorstep. And, like, this lady... Min Lang? She... is supposedly... born of IVF, but it's strongly implied that that was a lie made up by Guy Hudson and her mother, Xin Yulang, so that they wouldn't have to acknowledge the affair. So I don't know. There's a couple of things, though. I'm willing to say that I was right about almost everyone being root trees. Maybe not this guy. It's hard to say. And we are missing articles for him, it says. You know. 2 clues we haven't found yet. But the guy that I'm mostly concerned with is this guy. 5 Ps. Because if you look here, we only have about half. We have 8 of the articles, and 7 of them still haven't been found. So my thought is, you know, maybe this guy isn't a root tree. If he isn't, I'm gonna be upset though, because they've treated Joanna Robertson really poorly in this game. And so then if they're like, also Joanna Robertson's son is a liar, I'm gonna be upset. But I don't know. 7 articles we haven't found? That's a lot. Let's try and find some connections here, using what we already have. Clark Rafferty LaRoe, as well as Ruby Spratt and her company Ruby Legal Enterprises. Let's look for Ruby Spratt. You got anything on Ruby Spratt? An article about that process that interviews both Clark and Ruby. Did we get any new magazines? Not really. Seems that Ruby actually approached the Root Tree sometime in late March after the Root Tree Rift, but well before Root Tree Mania. An accomplished but relatively low-profile lawyer, she offered to work for very little money so long as she could be a public face to build her reputation. The family quickly jumped on this chance as many family members often attempt to spend as little as possible. Ruby came to the conclusion that Clancy Edward Roottree's implementation was not legally sound. There would be constant legal challenges without some modifications. They put her in charge of the trust to prevent further issues. She wanted to help them draft a public statement accepting Sam into the family and declaring that they'd begin to address the Clancy Trust. This went quite well, and they officially hired her in early April. Ruby Legal is now in charge of many financial aspects of the company, including verifying any claims to the trust and organizing the various charitable causes, such as scholarships that had been set up in the name of the deceased. Ruby Legal? Spider search? They were in the news recently due to a high-profile lawsuit they raised against Cicely Sanchez. Hold on. Take me to my evidence. Is there anything with evidence? Notable Root Trees has one piece of evidence. Anonymom. Anonymom was the second high-profile case after Felix Fellows of a potential new root tree being added to the Clancy Trust. Instead of claiming herself a root tree, however, she claimed she'd slept with Guy Hudson and that her daughter was a root tree. The accusation came during the height of root tree mania and began with a brief TV interview. She appeared in the shadows with a disguised voice and promoted an article about herself in Newstime. In the TV interview and the article, she referred to her daughter as Jane Doe Roottree. The name Anonymom was not self-inflicted. It seems to spring up organically because nobody knew how else to refer to her. The day after the Newstime article, Sam Madsen publicly supported Anonymom due to some parts of the story she found particularly credible. With the momentum from Sam's endorsement, Anonymom went on a media blitz. Ultimately, this backfired. As more details came out, people became skeptical of her story due to the extreme similarity to 5Ps. Her accusation even included many of the same details as his mother's story. This included her job, secretary, and the time period late 70s. After fumbling the 5-piece story so publicly, the Roottrees were more prepared to handle all Clan-Sid trust-related cases. Within a week, a DNA test proved that Anonymom's daughter could not be related to the Roottrees. This was announced at a joint press conference with lawyers representing both Anonymom and the Roottrees. Each party ensured their respective clients provided accurate samples. Immediately after the negative results were released, many of those who had already been skeptical felt vindicated. Others who built up hope that history would repeat itself found it a hoax. Though it was scientifically proven that Jane Doe Roottree is not a Roottree, this doesn't mean that her mother and Guy Hudson were not involved in an affair. She had every right to make her claim, as it has been verified that her stories about Guy Hudson were not exaggerations. Please leave their family alone. Many people claim this high-profile anticlimax and public backlash was the beginning of the end for Roottree mania, since much of the fun was the shared fascination about secret Roottrees. Others think that, like any fad, it just ran its course naturally. Regardless, this was the final notable event related to the release of 6 pieces. Maybe I need to look up Jane Doe Roottree? Okay. No. Maybe I need to look up Jane Doe Roottree in the News Time article? An anonymous woman appearing on the cover of News Time holding a picture of her daughter, Jane Doe Roottree. The first and only mention of the phrase Anonymom in News Time came the week after, when they issued an apology for featuring her in the first place. A summary of the initial cover article has been added to your evidence. Okay, new evidence. Where is it? Here. It was determined through a DNA test that Anonymom's daughter was not a Roottree. So the thing is that last week, the people showed up and they told us that they told us that the DNA tests cannot be trusted anymore. So that's out the window, because apparently they were tampered with. This article, which did refer to her daughter as Jane Doe Roottree, but did not coin the phrase Anonymom, came before all of that right around the time of the first TV interview. This is a summary. An anonymous woman appeared on the cover of News Time shortly after 5Ps was confirmed to be a member of the Roottree family. In an homage to the previous cover, she holds a photo of her daughter. Unlike 5Ps, she wished to remain anonymous, and both photos were obscured. The anonymous woman claimed to have had an affair with Guy... Hold on, I should have a page about Anonymom, in case we need to take some notes. Anonymous woman had a working as secretary. Okay, that's true. That happened with a lot of people. She and another woman were hired at the same time, okay, during a transition period while many of the secretaries that had worked under Zach Morton were already gone. That's huge. We can find out who she is through that, because we have files. She says that she and the other woman were both underqualified, as neither had typewriter experience. According to other staff members interviewed, Guy had his own requirements for hiring women. Guy Hudson liked to throw lavish parties, and the longer he was president, the more excuses he found. The anonymous woman posits that these parties mostly seemed to be an excuse to have after-parties at Guy's home, featuring much more alcohol and other substances. She claims she slept with him at one of these after-parties. She confronted Guy when she found out she was pregnant. Guy didn't seem fazed, and they came to an arrangement. He paid her a significant amount of hush money on a recurring basis under the table. We might be able to find something out about that? She used it to move away and start a new life with her daughter. When Guy died, the money stopped coming, and she assumed things had run their course. She went back to work at the department store and hoped that nobody would ever look too closely on how she paid for her house. She told everyone that her daughter's father walked out one day and never came back. She claimed that after seeing the fantastic article in News Time, she realized that she wasn't the only one this happened to. While she never worked at the Roottree company at the same time as 5P's mother, Joanna, okay. While she never... So we have to look for when Joanna left the company. Their stories seemed eerily similar, and she knew Felix was telling the truth right away. The article presented no tangible evidence of anonymous woman's time at Roottree, and all of the payments were allegedly made in cash. Okay. However, using the details that she provided in News Time, the reporters were able to reach out to the other woman hired at the same time, who also remained anonymous. They successfully fact-checked the timeline of both women and confirmed the existence of the infamous after-parties. 5P's case was strengthened, and this news story was subsequently published. Okay, that's huge. That's all huge. That's all huge for us. We have to find... She never worked with Joanna. This has become like a math logic puzzle. She did not work with Joanna. She and another woman were hired at the same time during a transition period, while many of the secretaries that had worked under Zach Morton were already gone. So, we have company records. President Zach Morton? Well, Zach Morton was president. Who were his secretaries? Juliet McCullen, Joanna Robertson, Doris Mays, and Beth Knox. Okay. Next. Guy Hudson replaces... As secretaries, Christine Farrow was hired, who we know it can't be her because we already know her. Joanna Robertson is no longer listed, but Joanna Fellows has been added to the list. Joanna Fellows and Beth Knox are no longer employed by Roottree. Christine Farrow is no longer listed among the secretaries, but a Christine Garland has been hired. Well, she was hired at the same time as another employee. So are there two new employees? Okay. Oh, thank you very much, Al Rose. I can't believe it's been 2 months already. Thank you so much. Thank you. The resub. I appreciate that. So Beatrice Watts and Corinne Schwartz were hired at the same time. Is this a transitional period? Yes, because Guy Hudson replaces Zachariah Morton. Okay, well, it's complicated because Beatrice Watts and Corinne Schwartz were hired, and Lisa Lewis and Valerie Ewing were hired. These are 4 women that were hired at the same time. Let's highlight that, and let's highlight Lisa Lewis. Let's look at the next page. Corinne Schwartz and Beatrice Watts are no longer employed. Linda Lewis and Angela Ingram were hired. Okay, here's another two employees. Lisa Lewis and Valerie Ewing are no longer employed. Catherine Garrett was hired. Okay, I think that it would have to be one of these 4 ladies. So let's do some research on these 4 ladies. Beatrice Watts? Anything on you? No? How about... search our periodicals. Are you in News Time ever? Are you in Business Watch? Perhaps you're one of the best... Perhaps you're one of the best secretaries to ever do it? Maybe she became a chef afterwards? Did you go to college? At specifically that one university? Miami Mercury. Did she become a famous musician? She's not in News Time. Did she live in Portland? I'm just trying anything we got to find this lady. Everything at our disposal. Teen Blast? Maybe she was a teenage sensation? Telephoto? Okay. Maybe it's not her. I'm gonna hope that it means it's not her, if there's no information on her. How about Corinne Schwartz? Okay, okay. Corinne Schwartz comes up in a few articles from local news stations in Pennsylvania. Some of the people attempting to track down Anonymom were harassing her. Okay. She recently had to take leave of absence because people showed up at the car dealership where she works. Okay, so it's not Corinne Schwartz. Not Corinne Schwartz. She is a car salesman and not a retailer. Okay. She is begging people to stop the accusations so that she can get back to a normal life. In every article you find, the journalists involved have independently verified that she is not Anonymom. Well, that's unfortunate because if she was hired at the same time, as Anonymom, that means it's Beatrice Watts, and there's no information on Beatrice Watts anywhere. Let's look up Corinne Schwartz. She was in Pennsylvania, which means she might be in the Butler County Times. After she was named in a national tabloid, people have come to her place of work and have accused her of being Anonymom. The article explains that it's impossible for her to be Anonymom because her only child is still in middle school. Unless her son's gestation period was approximately 10 years, it doesn't appear like Corinne could have been involved in any of the potential affairs in your family tree. Okay. National tabloid, that could be Piketty. National tabloid, that could be News Time. National tabloid, that could be Starlet. I don't think we have any national tabloids that aren't named Piketty. She's a used car salesman. Okay, maybe not her. Let's go back to the drawing board. Could be Lisa Lewis. No news on Lisa Lewis. Drawing board. Valerie Ewing. Okay, this is becoming problematic. Lisa Lewis in the Butler County Times? News Time? Piketty? Valerie Ewing? Piketty? Butler County Times? News Time? Portland? Were you ever in Portland? Okay. I'm getting scared. The trail's gone cold and I'm wondering why I got out of bed at all. The morning rain clouds are on my window and I can't sleep at all. And even if I could, the skies would all be gray. But your picture on my wall. Which reminds me it's not so bad. Okay. How are we going to find out more? Now's the time to review all possible root trees and input your deductions. You'll then be able to end your search and reveal the truth. You have 4 possible root trees left to identify. We don't know. Cranberry time. Sounds good by me. Maybe a drink is what we need to recenter ourselves. Thank you, thank you. Can I click on their faces? No. Okay, well I do think... I'm glad that they gave me this hint here. I mean, I knew that it was Anonymom, but, you know, if you didn't know it was Anonymom, one of the smoking guns is the Anonymom pages, are the Anonymom pages. So, I don't know, I might just say, like, here for all the possible root trees, we just go through them. This guy, I'm gonna assume he's not. For now, we'll go through and find his clues, but I think he's not. I think it was a lie. I think that he has something set up with Ruby Legal Enterprises. These guys, I think, are root trees. I think she is. I think he is. I think both of these ladies are. I don't know. Wait, I haven't... Ah, shit. Maybe I... Look at how many fucking clues we don't have about these guys. There's 11 missing clues. Okay, we'll go back and investigate these guys. But everyone that I feel confident about, I'm gonna say is a root tree. Theoretically, maybe something in these two articles will show us that he's not. We'll see. But I want to focus first on figuring out who Anonymom is. I think... I mean, I know that she's one of 4 people, right? Well, one of 3 people, because it can't be Corinne. They were hired at the same time. It says that she and the other woman were both underqualified and neither had typewriter experience. Paid her a significant amount of hush money. She went back to work at the department store and hoped that nobody would ever look too closely. While she never worked at the Roottrees Company at the same time as 5P's mother, Joanna. Beatrice Watts and Corinne Schwartz. So it could be Beatrice Watts, Lisa Lewis, or Valerie Ewing. We can't find any information on any of them. Corinne Schwartz comes up in a few articles from a local news station in Pennsylvania. It's not her. Okay. Okay. We have one clue still on here, so maybe I need to take a look at something here. Six Pieces, Sam Medson's book about Elias Roottrees was released in February. In March, the Roottrees Company stumbled publicly as they attempted to respond to the book's release with multiple conflicting press releases. Clark was announced as the permanent successor. After this announcement, there was a rash of different people claiming to be Roottrees, mostly dismissed as opportunists and scammers. The highest profile of these was a rapper named Felix Fellows, who changed his moniker to 5Ps as a publicity stunt at the time. Sorry, yawn. Five Ps is the only notable person in the updated Roottrees. Test proved he was a root tree. Anonymom and Jane Doe root tree. An anonymous woman, who the press began to refer to as Anonymom, appeared in interviews with her face and voice disguised. She claimed that an affair with a root tree led to the birth of her daughter, aka Jane Doe root tree. If true, this would make her daughter yet another secret root tree, and therefore entitled to a share of the clan said trust. Nobody knew it at the time, but this would turn out to be the last chapter in the Root Tree Mania saga. As more of Anonymom's story came out, people began to notice how much it echoed Five Pieces in nearly every significant way. The court of public opinion began to turn. Confirming the world's suspicions, the DNA test proved that her daughter was not a root tree. This final event caused public disappointment, smugness from doubters, countless accusations. Things got a bit ugly, and the fun of Root Tree Mania seemed to disappear overnight. Now, a month later, it feels like a distant memory. Root Tree Mania followed the announcement of a rapper five-piece. Underlying through a line to how pop culture treated Root Tree Mania was an excuse for everyday people to claim they were root trees. I'm gonna look up... Let's try and do some research on 5Ps. Periodicals? Is he from Miami? No. Miami? Not in the music. Okay. Piketty? Surprised Piketty doesn't have anything to say about it. Okay, he's from the hometown of Portland. This could be useful. Make another page here. I'm gonna say 5 E's. From Portland. I did not mean to put the little tilde, but that's okay. We're cute now. Nothing appears to be new information. It all rehashes the Newstime article and Swebshirt's results. The newspaper's music critic did review his latest album. They gave it a 3 out of 5. That's not bad. 3 out of 5. That's good. A 6 out of 10. I mean, you know, it's okay. Now that I think about it that way. Well, he hasn't done any interviews with the magazine. They've listed him amongst the hunky hotties for the past few months with small bios that tell you various facts about him. Do we have to look up hunky hotties on the spider web? On spider search? Am I allowed to do that? This includes his real name, David, his birthday, his star sign, and where he grew up, foster care in Portland. Letter to the editor also claims that it's not possible that he was born in 1977, as he claimed on a song called 17 Magazine that he turned 17 in 1992. Let's write that down. The editor responds with a statement that they've reached out to his agent to ask about the song and were told it wasn't performed by 5Ps and that they shouldn't print rumors. Okay. So his real name is David Fellows. Let's look at David Fellows in Piketty and Modern Music Monthly and Portland? No? He also goes by like Dirty Davy or something. Where are you, 5Ps? "17 Magazines" is the title of an unreleased and controversial song by Dirty Davy. Okay. Look up Dirty Davy in the Portland Times. Find an article about the dedication ceremony for the local Portland landmark called the Fountain of Youths. Okay. Apparently at the unveiling of the fountain, the mayor of Portland made a speech and there were performances by multiple local entertainers as well as a ribbon cutting from the people most instrumental in bringing the fountain into fruition. Probably not the people that actually built the fountain, probably just people that paid for it. The article calls out all the performers and speakers, with the exception of the mayor, were foster care alumni, and most of them grew up together as close friends. This includes poets, musicians, and dancers. Dirte Davy was listed as one of the musicians. Okay. Highlight that. Let's look up the Fountain of Youths. Let's look up the Fountain of Youths on the internet instead. No. Also known as Foster Fountain, is a fountain found in a small park in Portland. All proceeds from change thrown into the fountain are donated to the foster care system. A website for Portland's Parks and Recreation mentions under a trivia section that the Fountain of Youths was originally conceived by Ruby Spratt. Oh, okay. An alumni of the foster care system. She personally knows 5Ps. As more businesses signed on as sponsors, it grew in scope even beyond Spratt's original hopes. The fountain is unique because it has special targets that visitors can aim their coins towards. If a coin lands on one of these targets, each of the sponsored businesses matches it. This isn't a huge amount of money from each business, but more than 100 businesses have agreed to participate, so each penny becomes $1. Okay. Let's look up Foster Fountain. Okay, Ruby Spratt was featured in the Portland Telegraph when she was in high school in an article called Local Teen Making Change for Foster Care System. Let's highlight that. According to the article, Ruby Spratt grew up in the foster care system, was apparently the valedictorian of her school, and was a Girl Scout who, at the time of the article, was earning her Gold Award. This required a project to help the community, and Ruby chose to raise money to build a fountain she called Foster Fountain. The fountain has a few small pedestals that stick up high above the water. People are expected to toss coins into the fountain for good luck, and will be encouraged to aim for the top of the pedestals. All the coins scraped from the bottom are slated to be donated to Portland's foster care system. A coalition of local businesses that sponsored the fountain have committed to matching any of the donations that successfully land on the targets. I feel like that's gotta be, like, annoying to carry out. Because, like, if it's, you know, are you expected, like, every month to, as a business, like, write off a check for, like, $15 to this foundation for the rest of your life? It just seems like a lot of work for, you know, not that big of a donation. Okay, so we gotta look up Ruby Spratt then. Ruby A. Spratt. Okay, well, how about Gold Award? How about... What if we look up Gold Award in Spider Search? Nothing. Okay. Fountain has a few small pedestals. It doesn't seem like there's anything on this article to help us here. But knowing that Ruby Spratt is directly involved with 5Ps and was in charge of the DNA testing is important. Can I look up local teen making change for foster care system on the website, on the internet? No. Fountain of Youths. Is there anything? Portland's Parks and Recreation? Maybe? No. Fountain is unique. Fountain's unique in that we'll throw coins in it. What a novel concept. Mayor of Portland made a speech. This includes poets, musicians, and dancers. Dirty Davy was listed as one of the musicians. Dirty Davy. Okay, we looked up Dirty Davy. How about on the internet? According to fan sites, Felix Fellows is not Five Piece's actual name. His birth name was David Fellows. Dirty Davy was Five Piece's previous stage name. Okay, let's write that down. He used to sell records and perform live shows in Portland under that name. There's some people selling his old mixtapes on auction sites. Apparently one is called Dirty Devil and another Dirt Poor. Dirty Devil was Five Piece's first mixtape, released as Dirty Davy from the early 90s. There's discrepancies and debates about what year exactly it was released based on some of the pop culture references, with the range thought to be somewhere between 1992 and 1994. One of the songs, Yes I Can Jump, seems to be at the center of the confusion. Some fan sites claim that there are multiple versions with different track lists and song lengths on them, though, because there's very little evidence of the mixtape online as it is, it's even harder to verify that information. I feel like this could be relevant, and that maybe, you know, he changed some of the lyrics to reflect that he was born at a different time so that he would better line up with the fake story. Look up Yes I Can Jump. The only song that didn't make it onto a studio album that people thought should have. In it, he references a popular movie from 1992 called White Men Can't Jump. This reference has caused some confusion amongst the fan base because of it, it is agreed upon that the mixtape had to come out in 1992 at the earliest. But others point out that Fellows references seeing the movie on his 17th birthday. This would have been in 1994. Highlight that. Some take this to mean that the album had to have been released in 1994 at the earliest. Others claim that he was likely just trying to make himself sound older, since in response to some of the more questionable lyrics, he has stated multiple times that he was just a dumb kid when it was released. Okay. Should I look up White Men Can't Jump? Hold on, there was another album. Dirty Devil and Dirt Poor. Let's look up Dirt Poor. A lot of online discourse from people who like to point out that in one of the songs, Felix Fellows includes someone that would be revealed to be his own distant cousin in a list of attractive women. The lyrics to one of the songs, Heat, mentions a few different prominent female actresses, models, and musicians from the 90s. Provides a crude punter line about what Fellows felt about them. When re-released in 1999, much of the rhetoric was toned down to be less overtly profane, and the line referencing Raina was clumsily replaced by Dana, a reference to a character from the X-Files. Can we look up Heat? Yeah, that makes sense. That wouldn't come up with anything. We look up Dirt Poor. No. Look up Dirte Davy in periodicals. And music? No. Dirt poor? Eat? What else? What else? Right, hold on. Dirte Davy. Just look up Dirte Davy. We did already. Dirte Devil? Really? Maybe in the Portland Telegraph? Dirte Devil? Is that not what it's called? Dirte Devil. It is. How about Yes I Can Jump then? Yes I Can Jump? In modern music? "17 Magazines" is an unreleased and controversial song by Dirty Davy. There's mentions of it on a few sites claiming that it was the first release of his first mixtape, but it was removed. There's no audio or visual evidence of it existing, but there are independent accounts from people who have claimed to have heard it, and they do generally line up. According to their recollection, it was about many different loosely connected occurrences of the number 17, mostly violent. The intro states it was written on Davy's 17th birthday and involved a fictional but glorified series of murders at a fashion show for a teenage magazine with a similar name to the song title. Okay. The person doing the violence was apparently trying to beat Dahmer's high score. Jeffrey Dahmer had pleaded guilty to killing 16 people in 1992. Due to major acts of gun violence in schools earlier this year and subsequent backlash against violent music and video games, it is generally considered in very poor taste to bring it up. Most of the people that enjoy mentioning it online are either trolls trying to shock people or come from the morbidly curious corners of the internet. Teenage magazine with a similar name to the song title. Song title is 17 Magazines. "17 Magazine? Teen Magazine? Teen Mag? 17 Mag? 17 Mag? 16 Mag? 15 Magazine? 14 Magazine? 18 Magazine? 19 Magazine? 17 Magazine? 16 Magazine? What am I supposed to... How am I supposed to get this? Fashion show for a teenage magazine with a similar name to the song title. Song title 17 Magazines. Teen Magazine? I know. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's nothing. 17 Magazine. Maybe it's in the newspaper? Maybe it's in Teen Blast? Dirte Davy? No. Felix Fellows? David Fellows? Portland? David Fellows? Spider Search? Look up dirt poor in Portland. Look up dirt pay devil in Portland. Okay. Take me back to the drawing board. It looks like there's probably something we still need to find out about Ruby Sprat. How about the Fountain of Youths? Look that up in periodicals. Look it up in Business Watch. News Time? Ruby Sprat? He said that Cicely didn't have the rights to redistribute the photos of the magazine of Guy Hudson. Piketty apparently announced they'd be pulling their issue the following day, the moment that Ruby Legal Enterprises threatened them. Unlikely that Ruby could have pulled the story pulled. Okay. Ruby Legal Enterprises. Business Watch? Company took over of keepers of the Clansaid Trust. Seems that Ruby actually approached the Roottrees sometime in late March after the Roottree Rift, but well before Roottree Mania. An accomplished but relatively low-profile lawyer, she offered to work for very little money, so long as she could be a public face to build her reputation. The family quickly jumped on this chance, as many family members often attempt to spend as little as possible. After looking over the Clansaid Trust more carefully than anyone had in years, Ruby came to the conclusion that Clancy Edward Roottree's implementation was not legally sound, and that there would be constant legal challenges without some modifications. The family decided to put her in charge of the trust, but legally and as a public face to prevent further issues. Ruby Legal Enterprises has been described as a mix between a law firm and a PR firm. He drafted a public statement accepting Sam into the family and declaring that they'd begin to address the Clansaid Trust. This went quite well, and they officially hired her in April. Ruby Legal is now in charge of many financial aspects of the company, including verifying any claims of clans to the trust and organizing the various charitable causes, such as scholarships that have been set up in the name of the deceased. Ruby Legal. Ruby Legal Spider Search? Ruby Legal Enterprises Group now seems to have ties to multiple aspects of the Roottree Corporation, including their candy company and Root. They were recently in the news due to a high-profile lawsuit they raised against Cicely Sanchez. How am I supposed to learn more about Ruby Sprat of Ruby Legal? Okay, right. The most complete source of information you can find from before her time with the Rootrees is from the website for a magazine owned by a major airline. She was the subject of one article from a recurring series about modern-day success stories. Ruby grew up in foster care but excelled at school and earned a scholarship to study at Mid-Eastern University. Oh, you know what? You know what? I think that the Herald is for Mid-Eastern University. Yeah. Ruby Sprat. Okay. She graduated top of her class from the Mid-Eastern's legal college. Her valedictorian speech was somewhat controversial at the time, as it was quite serious with a heavy focus on wealth inequality. This didn't go over well with the predominantly middle to upper class audience in attendance. Oh no. The villains of the story are interested in wealth inequality. The editor of the Head Herald at the time said Ruby, unsatisfied by simply earning her place at Mid-Eastern with a full scholarship, went on to earn a captive audience of her peers with a perfect GPA. Felt like the ideal occasion for a celebration of an undoubtedly incredible individual. However, by the end of her speech, there were many in the audience that wished that neither of those events had transpired. It was a passionate attempt to use her soapbox to proselytize her fellow students and their parents into the religion of poverty, but unfortunately, judging by the silence, they remain unconverted. I feel like this didn't tell me anything. I felt like I was on a roll. Felt like that was huge. Is there nothing in here for me? Felt like I hit such a... I thought this was gonna be like such an important thread, but it's nothing. Do I have to look up valedictorian? Do I have to look up valedictorian? I mean, it shouldn't bring me up anything. I don't know, I feel like this was a useless article. How disappointing. There are a few high-profile corporate-involved cases she was a part of. One was a legal consultant as a class action lawsuit against a manufacturer of steering wheel covers. Another was to help a local gas station chain in her hometown of Portland with the rollout of a promotion that allowed gas station customers the ability to bet on the price of gas. Okay, this might be important. Because it says her hometown of Portland. The blurb ends by calling her new firm a double threat. Her company's services are a cross between a traditional lawyer and a PR manager. So how do we find out about gas station chains in Portland? Let's go to Portland Times. Gas stations? Gas stations? It makes sense that I probably need the name. But how do you find the name of the gas station? Ruby legal. Oh, you know what? I've promoted you to mod, Alrose, because I forgot. Thank you for reminding me. Plumparash DLTT. Ruby Legal Enterprise. Enterprises. Ruby Legal? Ruby Legal. Thank you for volunteering. Gas betting? History. Take me back. There are a few high-profile corporate-involved cases she was a part of. One was a legal consultant for a class action lawsuit against a manufacturer of steering wheel covers. There's not enough information there to help us with anything. Another was to help a local gas station with the rollout of a promotion that allowed gas station customers the ability to bet on the price of gas. Sorry, got a phone call. It wasn't important though. Like, since they mentioned her hometown of Portland, it seems to me like they want me to figure it out. Bet on the price of gas. Can I just look up bet on the price of gas? Still a few more things we have to find out about this guy. All Your Problems. This is the only single from 5 Pieces' album, Root of All Evil. It received some airplay but didn't make a big splash critically or commercially. Let's look up the Root of All Evil online. The album is mostly material that 5 Piece recorded for his mixtapes before he became notable, but re-recorded with lyrical differences in professional production. It was the first and only single released after dropping the single 5 Piece announced that he'd retained the infamous celebrity lawyer Stevie Whitlock to sue his family. To date, it doesn't seem like he's followed through. Stevie Whitlock, did we look her up? He's managed to rack up quite a few legal victories for C-list celebrities and athletes. Became famous in the mid-1980s after successfully suing a multinational sandwich company whose 12-inch subs... Okay, none of this seems related to the Roottrees. Never mind. Don't include people here that I can't look up. At first, the single didn't make much of a splash, but Whitlock, known for publicity stunts, paid thousands of teenagers a few dollars an hour to call and request the video on MTV, which increased its profile. MTV eventually caught on and banned the video altogether, which in turn received national news coverage and made the song even more popular. Is there anything here that I can grab and pull? Maybe All Your Problems? Nah, I didn't mean to. Whoops. All Your Problems. Look up All Your Problems. Hypocrisy of those that claim that money is evil. He points out that the only people who think money is evil are those that have it. Triumphantly talks about taking the Roottrees' wealth due to it being his birthright and giving it to those who need it most. Find a copy of a song on a suspicious-looking website and download it for your records. Let's look up Root of All Evil in Portland, in modern music. Let's look up All Your Problems in music in Portland. Okay. Maybe we need to look up Stevie Whitlock in Portland in music. Okay. Anonymum, yes, I can jump. We still need to figure out the connection to Ruby Legal Enterprises. Pro-billionaire ass game, dude. Take me over to Roottrees Rift. There's no president of the Roottrees family company, but that the entire family was made aware of the release of the book. Second release was emailed to business newspapers 3 hours later and announced that after a vote, Ron Roottrees would be taking over temporarily as an interim president. It also went on to state that Ron was aware of the book and verified claims within it and would look into compensating Mrs. Madsen and her family immediately. It also stated that the company lawyers would be taking immediate steps with the family to revisit the Clancy Trust's terms to make sure nothing like this could ever happen again. Okay, you know what? I think that means we drop David Fellows for a moment and we come up to learn about Ronald and Robert Roottrees. We've got some information on them. Wait, what? Reading this back, I get deja vu. As I write this addendum, Clark's gotten married again. No Roottrees ever remarried. Sure, I lost Jacob and Gwyn divorced Wild Bill just before she had her second. But neither of us ever took a second husband. The way the world is moving, I guess it was inevitable someone in this family would remarry. I just wish it wasn't my son. I can only wonder if Clark's apparent disrespect for marriage is due to the lack of a real father. I did what I could, and Lord knows Eli C. stepped up and helped, more than I can say for Clancy or Edward. Eli C. practically raised Clark and Jim as brothers whenever he could. Eli's marriage seems fine and Jim's marriage seems solid as a rock. So who knows what causes these things. I suspect that he's marrying Jane to keep her from running out on the band. Without her, he'd be the third wheel, and I imagine they wouldn't last long as a trio. But still, I don't think a marriage on such a shaky foundation like that can last. And Lord knows, I was right last time. Okay. Let's just look up Ronald Roottrees. Let's just do some searches. Ronald Roottrees. Nothing. Ron Roottrees? Ron Roottrees? Ron was announced as president of Roottrees during the Roottrees Rift, but the next press release immediately reversed the announcement and instead stated that Ron and Clark would be taking over. A few weeks later, I should make another page. Ron Roottrees. Ron was dropped from the title entirely. There are hundreds of results about this development, and most articles are retelling of basic details. Some veer into heavy speculation based on an article about Ron in Business Watch. Ron has also done some interviews saying that the truth of what went on behind the scenes is not something he wishes to discuss. Instead, he hopes to release a movie about it someday. Oh, of course. 3 weeks ago, Ron's mother, Gwyn, died in Paris, France. He and his brother, Robbie, have seemingly made amends. Okay, well, let's go to Business Watch then and look up Ron Roottrees. Business Watch ran an article about 2 months after the Roottrees Rift about what really happened with Roottrees. The article mentions that nobody from Roottrees that they reached out to was willing to go on the record. Instead, a timeline of events has been constructed from public record, accidental leaks, and a source on the inside. The only parts that are new to you are the most vague parts. The one supposedly confirmed by their anonymous source. The timeline says that the family actually held a preliminary vote after Carl Roottrees died, but before the release of 6 pieces, and decided they wanted Ron Roottrees to take over because of his experience running RR Productions, and because he was a well-known and respected Roottrees. Okay. But Ron seemed way too eager and personally motivated. They were worried he would gut the Clan Said Trust to remove Robbie Rootree. Family was notoriously unwilling to do anything that could risk their wealth. They stalled, and Ron became frustrated with the delay. When Six Pieces came out, he saw his chance to force action while the family was in the limelight and released the press release himself in an attempt to get the ball rolling faster. This caused chaos within the family. They tried to save face by allowing Ron to take over as co-president with Clark, but according to Business Watch's sources, Ron was impossible to deal with. He seemed like he was unwilling to protect the Clan Said Trust. After that, the role passed solely to Clark, who nobody was excited about but seemed like the safest choice. Okay. Let's look up RR Productions. Or no, Ron Rootree, but this time let's look him up in Starlit. Let's look him up in Silver Screen. Okay, that's an old one. Really nothing? Hold on. I gotta step away for just a moment. Give me just one sec. Here, one sec. Stop it! I don't know the touch button, I only know the jump, I only know...
This is it!
No! I don't know the dodge button!
Whoa!
Stop! I don't know the dodge button! I can jump, but I don't know the dodge button! Stop it! I don't know the dodge button, I only know the jump, I only know the dodge button on keyboard! Stop it!
There's no time. I can only show you the most important thing.
Love? Friendship? Ah, guns. I have to get to the lighthouse. Why? Because I'm like a moth, you know? I have to collect coffee. Oh no, it's me, he actually is me. He is me. I need to drink an entire thermos of coffee to make sure that I can stay awake for the next 15 minutes. Oh, hold on, wait.
You'll never publish another one of those stories, because I'm gonna kill
Me speaking to every Redditor on Cringe Court.
story.
Also, I know you might be wondering, are you sprinting? The answer is no, and it's because we're an author. We don't know how to... We've got like the, you know, the cardiovascular health of like an 80-year-old man. Or me. We have the cardiovascular health of a streamer.
You made me this way, and now I'm gonna kill
See ya. You made me this way. Now I'm gonna kill you. After hold on. I fell. Give me just a moment. I gotta... Okay. Hold on. My AI pathing says I need to come up over this way. Give me hold on. Did I mention that I'm just an author? I'm not like an action hero. I can barely run for like 4 seconds, or I'm out of breath. And I haven't had coffee in like... Oh, okay, thank you. That's good. Never mind. Disregard. I was gonna say I haven't had coffee in like 6 minutes or so. We'd like to speak to you about our Lord and Savior. No, please, I'm a West Coast liberal, okay? I do actually like the Oregonian coast a lot.
Let's have
I thought she had a gun, dude.
Mr. Wake, a pleasure. I'm an avid reader myself.
Well, why don't you read the room and leave me alone? Okay, honey, I did what you asked of me.
Very nice. I got a couple of really good ones. And I see you made a friend. That's cute.
Right.
You know I don't have friends, honey. Don't joke about that.
Rose.
Rose, I'm looking for Mr. Stuckey. Carl Stuckey?
Carl? Oh, of course, Mr. Wake. He must have gone to visit the restroom. He'll be back in a moment. I can't.
Oh, well, tell him to say hello to the restroom while he's there. The timing, going to the restroom. Anyway, I'm back. I'm back and I'm ready to do some research on Ron Roottrees. RR Productions? Okay. Spider search? RR Productions? No projects listed in development other than Guys Like Us remake. The Guys Like Us remake has been discussed a few times on a website about upcoming films called Move News. The logo is a cow on a film canister. Movie News. The rumored cast is Cameron Diaz, and the role originated by Gwen, Linda Fiorentino, and Chris O'Donnell. According to leaked news, the remake has been put on indefinite hiatus due to its director, who is speculated to be Ron Roottrees, dropping out in the wake of a serious medical issue, though that's only a rumor. How about Guys Like Us? It's a 1953 comedy film in which two secretaries cut their hair short and pose as businessmen to get ahead in life until one of them falls in love with their client and hilarity ensues. Starring Gwen Roottrees, Leslie Florence, and Harrison Lane, it was fairly popular at the box office and made its budget back, but was seen as somewhat formulaic. So it didn't really stand the test of time compared to other classic films of the era. It was recently released for the first time on home video due to Roottrees mania. The time it took to manufacture and ship VHS copies of Guys Like Us meant that it missed the height of the craze, which only lasted a few weeks. Even so, it did sell modestly well, and there have been talks of a remake. Okay, search it up in periodicals. Guys Like Us. News time. Boulder County. Okay, nothing. Okay. We're getting some information. Brother Trouble? No, that's old. What else do we have to go on with? Hold on, getting a call. Nothing. Again. Let's see. Guys Like Us, RR Productions, the Guys Like Us remake. Maybe we need to go look at Rob Roottrees. Robert Roottrees? I don't remember what the deal is with these guys. It's messed up to make me have to go back to them. His experience running RR Productions. They were worried that he would get the Clansed Trust to remove Robbie Roottrees. Maybe I have to look up the Clansed Trust? The unusual legal arrangement of the Roottrees' motivation was their major financial decisions. The entire family earns inheritance directly from the profits of the company. After the release of 6 Species by Sam Madsen, the Clansed Trust came under heavy scrutiny. Sam, her children, and her grandchildren should have all been covered under the trust. Sam's book revealed this to the public, and it did not go over well. Clark Rafferty LaRoe took over the company, and his most celebrated move was his first official one. He ensured Sam's family would get their share. To help facilitate this, the inheritance aspect of the trust is now under the control of third-party Ruby Legal Enterprises. This ensures that the financial motivations of the Roottrees family members will not interfere with the investigation into potential new Roottrees. Okay. I mean, that's not helpful for us. Really can't look up movie news? I feel like movie news could have been helpful. Ron Roottree dropped out in wake of a serious medical issue. What happened to Ron Roottree? Maybe I have to look at Clark Rafferty LaRoe. Company released a press statement that thanked Ron for his work, but announced that Clark was the new permanent president. Most of the information about Clark you already knew. Clark has tried to remain out of the spotlight and did have one notable foray into the public eye. He gained a lot of support when his first move was a statement in favor of accepting Sam and her family into the trust. How do I learn more about Clark Rafferty LaRoe? Do I have to look up Gwyn Roottree, maybe? She died in Paris, France about 3 weeks ago. After leaving Hollywood, she made no effort to stay in the limelight, and most obituaries tend to focus on her largest role, guys like us. Not much is known about her death, except that it was announced that she died peacefully in her sleep while being treated for a sudden severe case of pneumonia. Before that, she had apparently been in relatively good health. According to her friends and family in Paris, she was 67. Okay. Is there anything in the periodicals about her? Maybe in Starlet? Or Silver Screen Magazine? No. Teen Blast? No. Teen Blast Brother Trouble? TMS's recent stint in rehab and did their best to stay relatively light in tone for their audience. TMS has gone through his fair share of hardships in the past year. We're all still reeling from the death of the Roottrees sisters, and he was closer to them than any of us. After his battle with addiction over the past few years led to a scary near-death experience, he vowed to make a change, and told us he's focusing on himself, his family, and his friends. Last year I lost my wife, and only a few months ago I found out someone close to me has a pretty serious disease. He asked me not to talk about it, but over the next 5 or 10 years it will likely get worse. All of the darkness has really put my own life into perspective. I almost threw it away. It turns out the most important thing I could do was stop trying to fix my problems by pretending they didn't exist. I urge your readers to make sure they're taking care of themselves as well. If you need help, seek it out. Okay, you know what? Someone close to me. That is definitely Ron Roottree. I don't remember who TMS is, though. Look it up online. TMS? 2 months ago, he very publicly went into rehab. Since then, however, he has been seen in public a few times and appears to be doing better. He hasn't appeared in any news movies in the last 8 months and has rarely appeared anywhere of note. Brother Trouble? No. Dustin Christopher Baker? No. Okay, what about the mom? Penelope Tessa Green. Okay. Comedian Penelope Tessa Green was part of a recent fundraiser at the Reno Comedy Club, the Laugh Lounge, about a month ago. The fundraiser was called The Best Medicine and was to help find a cure for Huntington's disease. Up until recently, I didn't know anything about Huntington's. In the last few months, I've gone from knowing nothing about it to learning more than any one person should ever have to. Ron has Huntington's disease. Okay. Until less than a decade ago, it was impossible to predict if someone susceptible to Huntington's had the disease, but due to advances in medicine, tests have been developed. Hopefully, this increased awareness is the first step into finding a cure. Please join me for a night of comedy for a good cause. Okay, look up The Best Medicine. Reno Comedy Club, The Laugh Lounge? Welcome back. What did you have? In the meantime, I found out that Ron Roottrees, the sickness that he has, is Huntington's disease. I don't know what to do about it, though. I see. Yeah, I have no idea what it is. Can I look up Huntington's disease? It's a neurodegenerative disease that most recognizably causes memory issues and uncontrollable movements in the limbs. After symptom onset, between 30 and 50, those affected by Huntington's typically live another 15 to 18 years as their symptoms worsen. There is no cure. Huntington's is passed genetically from parent to child. The gene that causes Huntington's works in such a way that if a parent has the disease, there is a 50-50 chance that their child will get it. Huntington's cannot be passed on recessively, meaning it cannot skip a generation. In other words, if someone has a mother or father with Huntington's, but they themselves did not receive it from their parent, their children will also never have it. Until the early 1990s, it was impossible to test for Huntington's. Instead, symptoms would usually appear later in life. This would often be after the person affected already had children. It would then be impossible to know if their children had it, as it was a 50-50 chance. It became possible to test children for it and know if the disease was passed on or not. For a variety of complex reasons, however, children are considered unable to consent to such tests and are therefore very rarely tested unless they're showing early symptoms. Oh. I see. I get it. If Ron Roottrees has Huntington's disease, but his mother and father don't, then that means that he's adopted, or he's, from an affair. So we actually have to look up Wild Bill, his father. Wild Bill Williams? Let's see if he died of Huntington's disease. Did not make an appearance at Gwyn Roottrees' funeral. Because of his absence, there were rumors online he must have already died. But according to a reporter that tracked him down, he's in his 70s, still lives in Paris, and is still in perfectly fine health. So he does not have Huntington's disease. He even went on record as saying, "I think it was Mark Twain who said the rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated." A few years are spent with Gwyn were just one stop along the very long and complicated journey that has been my life and career. The last time we spoke was when I signed the divorce papers. She asked me to never contact her or the kids again. I've always respected those wishes. They never reached out to me either, even as adults, so I have to assume that they had some idea of why she hated me so much, and the sacrifices she made on my behalf. I wish them well, and I'm sorry for their loss, but we've all been strangers for 40 years, so I can confidently say that they wouldn't have wanted me to be there. In fact, I'm confident my presence would have ruined it. Okay, well, I mean, that's actually huge, because that means that Ron Roottree is not a blood relative. Then what about his brother? He kept trying to remove his brother from the Clanset Trust. What did he know about his brother? If he... Maybe I should look him up. Robert Roottree. Maybe in the periodicals. Robert Roottree. Silver screen. Not what I clicked. Robbie Roottree was allegedly tried and convicted under the name Robert in a French court of law. Seems he embezzled from the company RR Productions to fuel a gambling habit that left him hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. When he fled to Paris, he assaulted an officer who came to question him. The article's author says that they were unable to get a statement from French authorities, but received information from an anonymous source that they were able to confirm through public record that there was a trial involving a Robert Roottree around the time that Brother Trouble canceled. Okay, you know what? I feel like Robert Roottree could be a blood relative. Maybe even is. But I feel confident that Ronald Roottree is not. Because he has Huntington's disease, and neither of his parents have Huntington's disease. So I actually feel good about closing out this section of the family tree. Next. Next. Right, oh shit, now we're back to Anonymom and David Fellows. No, dude. I think David Fellows is not on account of seemingly being friends with Ruby Legal Enterprises. And I feel like maybe he stole his story from Anonymom. I found you. Now, how am I supposed to find out more about Anonymom? Anonymom. Hold on, how many... There's only 3 more smoking guns. That's crazy, considering I don't even know who they are. They're literally anonymous. Let's review our notes. There's a woman that had claimed to have an affair with Guy Hudson while he was working as secretary. There was another woman hired at the same time during a transition period while the secretaries that had already worked there were gone. She says that she and the other woman were both underqualified as neither had typewriter experience. He paid her a significant amount of hush money. He went back to work at the department store and hoped that nobody would ever look too closely. He never worked at the Roottree company at the same time as Joanna. Beatrice Watts and Corinne Schwartz were hired. Corinne Schwartz is not Anonymom. if she works at a car dealership, could that mean that she was not typewriter trained, which means that Beatrice Watts would be an Anonymom? We gotta learn about Beatrice Watts, I think. Let's see if we can't figure something out about Beatrice Watts. Butler County, Miami Mercury, News Time, Piketty. Hold on, maybe her name changed. Let's look at our files again. Where's our confidential? Where's our confidential files? Excuse me, where's my confidential files? Did they take my confidential files away when I wasn't looking? Where's my files? Hello? Give them back, Alrose. I need those. Okay, I know how to get to them. Company records. Thought you could hide them from me. Okay, Beatrice Watts and Corinne Schwartz were hired. Next page. Corinne Schwartz and Beatrice Watts are no longer employed. Annoying. Nothing, I guess? Don't know. Because today is absolutely going to be the final day that we play the Roottrees Are Dead, I think nearing the end of the stream, I will be using a lot of hints from our rubber duck. In fact, I will use one right now. The blurred news time article about Anonymum seems like a dead end, but I bet if you poke around some more, you can dig up new information. Okay. What is archived evidence? What the hell? I don't know. I don't know what that is. So my rubber duck wants me to look at this. What can we see? We can see that she has red nail polish. I mean, I guess she could change that, though. She is, like, graying blonde hair. She's white. What do we have here? An anonymous woman appeared. She had an affair with Guy Hudson while he was working as a secretary. She and another woman were hired at the same time. They were underqualified. Through lavish parties. They were mostly to be an excuse to have after parties. She slept with him at one of these after parties. He then confronted Guy and found out that she was pregnant. Guy didn't seem fazed, and they came to an arrangement. He paid her a significant amount of hush money on a recurring basis under the table. He used it to move away and start a new life with her daughter. Move away where? Portland? Miami? When Guy died, the money stopped coming and she assumed things had run their course. She went back to work at the department store and hoped that nobody would ever look too closely at how she paid for her house. told everyone that her daughter's father walked out one day and never came back. She claimed that after seeing the fantastic article in Newstime, she realized that she wasn't the only one this happened to. While she never worked at the Roottrees company at the same time as Joanna, their stories are eerily similar. The article presented no tangible evidence of the anonymous woman's time at Roottrees, and all of the payments were allegedly made in cash. However, using details that she provided to Newstime, the reporters were able to reach out to the other woman hired at the same time. They successfully fact-checked the timeline of both women and confirmed the existence of the infamous after-parties. 5P's case was strengthened and the news story was subsequently published. No, you've defeated me. Rubber Ducky, tell me another thing. Newstime cares about respecting people's privacy, but that can't be said of everyone. You're telling me I didn't look up Piketty? Piketty? Here, take me to my periodicals. Piketty Anonymon. Okay. Piketty is not afraid to expose details that other publications would avoid. Shortly after the announcement that Jane Doe Roottrees was not a Roottrees, Piketty exposed personal details about the story of Anonymon. They said Anonymon worked as a manager at a department store in North Carolina, and her daughter's name was Courtney May. Okay, well, that's pretty huge. Courtney May. The department store. What do you call a manager? No, I don't know. I don't know what you. Let's keep reading. Anonymon worked. His daughter's name is Courtney May. They literally just told me the answer. The woman that vouched for her famous cover story is named Corinne S. She had filed for bankruptcy. The article speculates that Anonymon and Corinne were in on it together and even speculates that they might have been lovers. Okay, I don't know about that. Maybe I have to look up Courtney May Watts? Courtney May Watts? Okay. Courtney May has a simple website with a black text on white background and a few images. From the view counter, you can tell you're only one of a few hundred people who have visited. She's not shy about claiming she is Jane Doe Roottrees. As proof, she has posted an unobscured cover from the time that she was featured on Newstime, as well as a different picture of herself that appears to be a wedding photo. The website seems to be created in defense of her mother, who has been the target of public scrutiny. Under the headline, The True Story of Jane Doe Roottrees, courtesy of Courtney May Newton, formerly Watts. Courtney May writes, "Everyone has everything wrong. My mom approached the Roottrees before 5P's was ever on the cover of Newstime. Nobody at the Roottrees company took us seriously. They only listened to us after we appeared on TV and in magazines." The site has scanned letter from Ruby Legal Group to Courtney May's mother, Beatrice. In very polite legal terms, it seems to accuse her of exploiting their name and orders her to leave the Roottrees alone. It's dated from a few weeks before the 5P's article appeared in Newstime, and it seems legitimate. Courtney May also discusses her mother's magazine feature in more detail. Do you know how difficult it was to convince anyone to tell her story? My mom didn't want to show her face because everyone in the media we approached assumed she was lying because her story was just like 5P's, but my mom's story was first. Mom was invited by Ryan and Cork to tell Newstime that seeing 5P's on the cover was what inspired her to go public. That's the only way Newstime would agree to it and help her get on TV, but it's not true. Our story was first. Courtney's defense continues, but much of it seems repetitive and useless. Wow. Towards the end of her page, she discusses the DNA test and defends her mother's character. My mom is amazing. She's the nicest woman in the world. Should I be looking up nicest woman in the world so we can get a picture of her? She has diabetes and works at a department store, but still managed to help pay for my apartment in the big city so that I could stay with my high school sweetheart. Okay. Highlight that. I got a degree in nursing, so I learned about DNA in college, but I'm beginning to think it's all a lie. Mom is 100% confident that there's nobody else that could have been the father. Either they did the test wrong or DNA is complete bullshit. She is not a liar. I think that that's true. I think the DNA test was faked by Ruby in David Fellows. Courtney May Watts. Courtney May Watts. So your mother's name is Beatrice Watts. Your mother is this woman. You are a nurse. You're a nurse. What do you call somebody who works at manager at a department store? An actor? A baby? A comedian? Kind of. Media mogul in some ways. Petty burger. I'm gonna say retail. That sounds the closest we're gonna get. Impossible Rootree? I'm going to say confirmed. She is a Rootree. I think that their story was stolen by David Fellows. We have 2 pictures of this woman. No, we don't. Hold on. Yes, we do, but the other one's over here. Courtney May and Danny together forever. Okay. Courtney May. And you are Daniel? Daniel something. Daniel, we read it a second ago. Where? Here, you... No, hold on. Here, yeah. Okay. Hold on, I just found a strange bug on me. 1 second. Oh, it's gone. Okay. Little bit weird, but... Okay. Where did we... The site has a scanned letter from the Ruby Legal Group to Courtney May's mother, Beatrice. Can we read it? No? We know Danny's last name because we know Danny's last name because it appeared. It said that Courtney May. Hold on, go to my history, okay? It also said that the woman that vouched for her famous cover story didn't identify a news time or an S that she had filed for bankruptcy. The article speculates that Anonymous and Corinne. Somebody said what her last name was, Courtney May, but I don't remember who it was. Take me to the Heterold. Courtney May. Courtney May Watts. Butler County Times? No. Miami? No. Portland? I know she lived in North Carolina, but I don't know where that is. Where did I read about her name? What? Okay, formerly Watts. True story of Jane Doe retreat, courtesy of Courtney May Newton. Okay. So her fiance, her boyfriend, her wife, her husband. Sorry, my brain's not working ever. Newton. Daniel Newton. Okay. We filled out the entire tree here. So I'm kind of the opinion that I'm ready, but let's see if the rubber ducky thinks anything. Courtney May mentions a lot of interesting information in her defense. I wonder if any of it could lead to more evidence. Sure, Ducky. Let's take a look at her website. Let's see. Anything... I mean, I wish I could read this, the scanned letter from the Ruby Legal Group. Mom didn't want to show her face because everyone in the media thought we were lying. My mom's story was first. Ryan and Cork? Who's Ryan and Cork? An unremarkable law firm based in North Carolina named after its senior partners Winston Ryan and Gregory Cork. The firm mostly handles local cases and recently represented Anonymom. Their website has a section about the case, including a scan of the DNA test results that proved Jane Doe Rootree was not a Rootree. This is a DNA test you got from the website for a law firm. The test says that there was virtually no chance that Anonymom's daughter Courtney May was a Rootree. It lists that DNA from a Jane Doe was tested against the DNA of Bonnie Kellig, Guy twin sister. Ryan and Cork, who were representing Anonymom, have confirmed that the sample they sent to the Rootrees was definitely Courtney May's hair. The test is from a company called DNA Teco, and a doctor has circled the results and signed the paper. It looks like the doctor's name is Adrian Rowland. Okay. Let's look up the company. Dynatico is a DNA testing company. DNA testing is a relatively new phenomenon that allows scientific laboratories to prove a possible family relationship between two people. It's fairly cutting edge. The method by which they test samples has only become standard in the last decade. According to their site, Dynatico was responsible for the DNA test that proved Felix Fellows was a Rootree and even used it as an example of how a DNA test looks. They use it to provide some information about their process. So, you know what I think? I think that they're in on the scam. Whenever they take a sample in person, they put the name of the person on the test according to their legal ID, which is why it says David instead of Felix. Because Guy Hudson is dead and there is no known DNA source for Guy, they tested Felix's hair versus a hair sample sent from the Rootrees. It's listed as Jane Doe because it wasn't collected in person, but the Rootree company let them know it was from Bonnie Kellogg. This is why it says a paternal aunt test. The left and right sets of numbers are essentially signatures that perfectly match the DNA of the two people in question and nobody else. The way the test works is that certain parts of the signature are shared, and it's very likely they're related. As far as you can tell, Dynatico is a legitimate company. They don't seem to have any reason to create fake results or hide the truth. Except the doctor. We have to look up Adrian Rowland. There's a 99% chance David Fellows. As far as you can tell, Dynetico is a neutral third party that has been used by plenty of respectable companies. But Adrian Rowland. I bet this guy, you know what? I'm going to skip looking him up online. I'm going to go straight to the Portland Telegraph because I'm pretty sure he grew up with Ruby and Felix. Adrian Rowland. Okay, never mind. Let's look him up online first. Dr. Adrian Rowland? What? Hold on. No. What? Adrian Rowland, PhD. Do I have to look up PhD? Adrian Rowland, PhD. PH.D? Really? Adrian Rowland, PhD. Adrian Rowland? I don't understand. Why can't I find anything about him? He's a doctor, but maybe he was also a chef? Did he go to... No? Musician? Surely it's him, right? It's the only thing that makes sense. He would fake the evidence. Okay, take me back to college and let me look up Courtney May Watts. Courtney May? Courtney May... Oh, I didn't look it up right. Courtney May? Courtney May Watts? Courtney May Newton? Shoot. Courtney May Newton? Okay. What do you think, Rubber Duck? The Piketty article about Crocodile Clementine has an interesting lead you haven't explored yet. Sure. I'll take your word for it. Let's go see. Piketty Crocodile Clementine. Billy Sims was once arrested for throwing a Molotov cocktail at a company that was found to be testing their products on animals. According to police paperwork, Crocodile Clementine's bail was paid for by Tostarito Jacobson. It was fairly expensive. Piketty interviewed other students that were at the event to find out if anyone knew anything, and then the word going around was that Mark Clementine showed up because his daughter Mary was graduating that night. Mark Clementine, his daughter Mary. Mary? Bro, could you imagine being spelled Mary like you're like the word Harry? That's so sad. Harry, Mary, bro, you'd kill yourself in elementary school. That's so sad. I can't believe you did that. Tostarito Jacobson. Who's this? Juegos Fiesta, a regional Mexican fast food chain, held a competition in 1993 that offered free meals for life to anyone that legally changed their name to Tostarito. According to a few different sources, Tostarito Jacobson used to be named Lucinda. Okay. Lucinda Jacobson. Lucinda Jacobson. Why do I... Why do I remember Lucinda Jacobson? Here. Copy you. Let's take me to the periodicals. Nothing in Piketty. There's a Crime Blotter article about Edith Jacobson that also mentions a Helen Roottree and a Lucinda Jacobson. In 1971, when she was 18, Edith and her sister Lucinda were arrested for trespassing at the Miracle Congregation's church in Butler County. They were pretending to be church employees in an attempt to get into the room where the church houses their weekly things. Oh. I don't know. I don't know. His mother is obviously Lucinda Jacobson. Here, let's start a new page. Crocodile Clementine. Son of Lucinda Jacobson. Would you do that, by the way? Would you change your name? The name of a product if that means you get lifetime of that product? Like, change your name to Baja Blast? For unlimited Baja Blasts at Taco Bell? I'm trying to think, and I'm like, I don't think there's anything I like well enough to change my name for it, you know? Like, I don't think there's anything I love in the same way that Lucinda loves Tostarito tacos. Like, I don't know, pizza, I guess? Like, could I get a lifetime supply of pizzas? I think that would be terrible for me. I think I would just get pizza all the time, and I would die. I think I would, like, my arteries would get clogged, and I would just perish. I don't think so. I don't think that I could do it. Like, I think it would just be, like, change my name to Kenzie Domino's or something. Which is not my favorite pizza, by the way, but when it comes to pizza chains, it's my favorite. My character is me. I would describe them, who's me, as a gender. Which is, I think, the better answer. I should have just said that instead. Anyway, I think that means this guy is a root tree. Okay, Rubber Ducky, what do you want me to do now? The cookbooks seem pretty central to the Garland affair. They're worth a closer look. The cookbooks? Do we have cookbooks? Maybe I didn't look them up. Maybe I didn't look up the cookbooks. Where's our boys? Okay, Steve Garland worked at Antonelli's. Listing for his weekend cooking classes, Gourmet for the Groovy. The blurb mentions that he's been giving lessons from his home kitchen for the last month. Local author sued by former Butler County resident. Mark Zimmer was sued by Garland after Garland saw Zimmer promoting his book Kitchen Tales on television. His recipe book was partially plagiarized from the recipes that Steve Garland would give his students during his cooking lessons before he moved. The article mentions that although recipes are hard to copyright, Garland accompanied each recipe with a short fiction about how he learned it. He's usually doubled as a way to remember certain ingredients. Garland's bean salad, for example, involved making a trade with a gnome for some magic beans. Apparently, these stories were found word for word in Zimmer's cookbook, in addition to additional stories that followed the same format. Okay. Mark Zimmer, in his book, Kitchen Tales. I mean, I don't know. Is it my favorite over water? Maybe. It's just, it's what I have. Down the hatch. Thank you for keeping me hydrated. It's good to do. It is kind of warm in here, especially. Kitchen Tales by Mark Zimmer. Let's look it up real quick. Mark Zimmer. Kitchen Tales. It was re-released as Garnishing the Truth. Garnishing the Truth. What? Steve Garland? Okay. Christine, thank you for everything. Your support means the world to me. You're the apple of my pie. The second is to James and Robert. You're becoming amazing men and incredible chefs. I guess I'm a good teacher. The final is to Mark Zimmer. You proved my storytelling approach to recipes could be popular. Without you, this book couldn't exist. I first met Steve in 1978 when he taught a cooking class. The next time I saw him was a decade later when he was suing me for stealing his recipes. Yes, really. So you might wonder what I'm doing in this introduction. Well, it turns out that Steve and I had more in common than we thought. Instead of settling in court, we settled it at McCarran's brew house over a game of darts. They said they'd give us the first drink of the night free for an entire year for mentioning them. I would do that. 365 drinks if you go to the bar every day? I probably shouldn't go to the bar every day, but, By the end of the game, he and I agreed we'd both rather make a ton of money together than spend a ton of money on lawyers. It's pretty rare to meet your best friend so late in life, but when I decided to retire, I moved to Boston just so we could hang out. So, if you're browsing this book in a bookstore, please buy our book. We need more money for when the free beer runs out, and the bookstore could probably use the sale. Rubber Ducky? Tell me more. What about the other book? Kitchen Tales? Mark Zimmer? Maybe I have to look it up online? Okay. Kitchen Tales was a story-based recipe book credited to Mark Zimmer that had some success after it was featured on a morning talk show. The book released before the internet was widespread, so mentions are rare. One book collector states that the publishers were unprepared for the demand and that there was no second printing, so it's unusual to find a copy in the wild. I like to think of this, like they're talking to the book collector, like it's fucking, The Ninth Gate. It's starring Johnny Depp. And they're talking to like these evil satanic book collectors about kitchen tales. We tracked him down. We had to go all the way to Paris. We found two brothers who were running a bookstore who were able to tell us who sold them the original copy of the book, and so we were able to triangulate their position. You find an alternative medicine website which focuses on cooking with natural ingredients. It mentions that one of the kitchen tales recipes used salt water. The owner of the site has included a scan of that recipe, which was added to your evidence. He says if you switch out the salt water in the recipe for a mix of 2/3 spring water and 1/3 filtered seawater, it tastes great. Found a scan of one story on a website. It demonstrates how to bake the plated loaf. For years, two bakers, Flora and Yates, flirted. They grew their friendship, compared recipes, and combined knowledge. She loved his salt and pepper beard. He adored her rosemary cheeks. They thought sweetly about one another, but he was one day whisked away, conscripted to bake the army's bread. By the oil of the lamp, Flour's tears began to salt her bread. The recipe asked the reader to combine flour, yeast, sugar, olive oil, and rosemary, combine the salt and water together, then add to the mixture and whisk until the dough forms. It was 10 to 12 years later that they met again, seemingly by fate. Flora's unique dough had earned her a position as the king's personal baker. Yates had found success as well. He baked for the kingdom's 45 diplomats. One day, they returned from the Dutch Isles with a gift, 450 unbaked loaves, and were sent to the palace bakery to teach a method that required no kneading. Upon seeing Yates, Flora was both delighted and distraught. She felt as if she was torn in two. She had not been made aware of the gift and had already prepared buns for the palace ovens. She wished to greet Yates warmly, but was struck by fears that he'd be unable to bake with her, that she'd face retribution for being unprepared. She cried to Yates, adding more salt to her dough. Yates eased her pain. He insisted she had no obligation to prepare for a return that she thought impossible, but he shared her fear of retribution. He knew that if they did not solve her predicament, they'd miss their final chance to bake together. In the end, instead of wallowing in the present, they worked together to shape the future. They twisted and entwined their doughs and baked them as one. Thus was born the plated loaf. Word quickly spread of this new delight. The king's decree on royal parchment was that it would be considered a delicacy. Bankrolled by the king, Flora and Yates spent their days baking together. They traveled for 45 years, then settled down for 15 more. Their souls were golden with no regrets. Okay. Hello, Jan. Oh, shit. I hope not. I hope not. So this... I mean, it's... They're telling a metaphor, right? The two bakers flirted. And they were separated. Okay. 10 to 12 years later, they met again. Flora's dough had earned her a position as the king's personal baker. Yates had found success as well. Hold on. So we're talking about these two people. Okay. Yeah. I understand. The king's personal baker. The king is Guy Hudson. And she... She was his personal baker. On seeing Yates, Flora was both delighted and distraught. She felt as if she was torn in two. She had not been made aware of the gift and had already prepared buns for the palace ovens. Does that mean she was already pregnant? She wished to greet Yates warmly, but was struck by fears that he'd be unable to bake with her, that she'd face retribution for being unprepared. She cried to Yates, adding more salt to her dough. Kate's Easter pain, he insisted that she had no obligation to prepare for a return she thought impossible. But he shared her fear of retribution. He knew if they did not solve her predicament, they'd miss their final chance to bake together. In the end, instead of wallowing in the present, they worked together to shape the future. They twisted and entwined their doughs and baked them as one. Thus was born the plated loaf. I'm not sure how to make that. Does that mean that one of the children... I think they're both root trees. I think they're both root trees. I think that's what that's saying. What does my rubber duck think? Okay, the rubber duck agrees with me. I know. I don't remember Sonia Alves' nickname. Can you just tell me? Nia Alves, thank you. I don't think I need to do this, though, because I already know about Nia Alves. I'll do it, though, if you want me to, Rubber Duck. She owns many forms of media in Brazil. Business Watch has mentioned her by name a few times. The most relevant appearance seems to be an article about the struggles of the American media companies to do business with their foreign counterparts due to a difference in laws. A few media groups and countries are discussed, including those in Africa and the Middle East. I think I would too. But I don't know. Like, my thought process is like, if I had a magic duck and I talked to them, what if they said something I didn't like? Then what? Could you imagine? Like, you think something and then you ask your magic duck and the magic duck is like, no, that's wrong. You would like forever be in doubt. You would become reliant upon your magic duck. You would ask him everything, you know? Oh yeah, I mean, this, you know, this game is all about helping billionaires. So, also, the big villain of the game, you missed it, Tien, but the big villain of this game are a group of orphans who conspired together to fake relation to the Root Tree Company so that they would have access to the trust. Few media groups and countries are discussed, including those in Africa's Middle East. Due to lack of freedom of speech laws in Brazil, there has been added bureaucracy in publishing certain stories on the channels. Nia is extremely private about her identity and supposedly once used her connections to have a reporter fired from her rival network and blacklisted. The journalist claimed that this was not to shut down a story he was doing about her personal life. Sorry, hold on. I'm misreading. The journalist claimed that this was to shut down a story he was doing about her personal life, including that her marriage in 1973 was not her own choice. His research claimed that she essentially had her husband forced upon her as a child bride at the age of 15. It also claims that past appearances with her husband have been for show, they do not live together, and that she resents her own parents for the arrangement. The final claim was that she must have made her money under the table through nefarious and possibly illegal means during Brazil's dictatorship, as his research uncovered that she could not possibly have earned enough to start a media company otherwise. After making the statement, the reporter went into hiding in fear of his safety. Okay, but Rubber Duck. Here's another thing about the Rubber Duck, right? I already knew this. The duck's like, oh, you should look into Sofia Alvarez. I have. Look, Rubber Duck. Rubber Duck, look at this. I already know about Sonia Alves and her son, Flavio Suarez, and I know that he's related to Guy Hudson. I already know, Rubber Duck. Ron and Robbie are in a dotted section of the tree. This warrants some investigation. Okay, the Rubber Duck's right. I do need a hint about Rob and Ronnie. Well, no. Well, no, the Rubber Duck's wrong again, because I know these two as well. But what does the Rubber Duck want me to do specifically? Robbie Roottree. That's what you want me to look up his name? Okay, Duck. The Duck might be right this time. This might actually be important. Yes, okay. This is information I was missing. Because you know why? Because I looked up Robert Roottrees, not Robbie, and it doesn't come up if you look up Robert. Robert Roottrees was released. Robbie was released from French prison after serving a few years for assault. His embezzlement and arrests were partially featured in 6 pieces, and have since become much more publicly infamous. He has not yet returned to the United States, but when journalists reached out to him recently after the death of his mother, he had issued a blanket statement a few days ago. The death of my mother was hard on our family. My brother and I, after spending time together caring for her in mourning, have finally made amends. It was a highly transformative few weeks when it came to our relationship. I'm in recovery from my addiction, and a major aspect of that process is that I wish to stay private. Okay. Are you pleased with me, Duck? Are you glad that I read that article now? The other actors from Guys Like Us? Okay, that's true. I did not look into Leslie Florence and Harrison Lane. I didn't think these people were important. Let's see. For Guys Like Us, she was in a few very small supporting roles, and her performance in Guys Like Us was generally thought of as quite good, especially considering she got second billing to Gwyn. Even with the success and acclaim, she retired from Hollywood almost immediately after her co-starring role. Not much is known about her until recently when Guys Like Us re-released right at the tail end of Roottrees Mania. As part of the myriad of articles and research people have done into those surrounding the Roottrees, it came out that she died of a genetic disease known as Huntington's disease. Leslie Florence is the mother of Ronald Roottrees. I mean, we knew that he wasn't Gwyn's son, but we didn't know who it was. And I don't think it's important who it is, but let's write it down anyway. Leslie Florence is Ron's mother. Huntington's disease proves it. Okay. Huge. Now I'll look up Harrison Lane, but I don't think it's important. Nothing. Okay. Rubber duck? Anything else I should do? By the way, we're at the end of the game. As far as I'm concerned, we've done everything. I filled out everything. Everything's filled out. Everything's correct. The only thing stopping me from beating the game is hitting I'm ready. So I'm just seeing if there's anything else the duck wants me to read before I say I'm ready. Because the duck, all it does is point you to articles you haven't read. And you don't have to read all the articles to, you know, figure stuff out if you're smart like me. Ducky, you gotta know this. I did the original investigation like 3 weeks ago. You're gonna have to remind me. Wild Bill Williams and Starlet. I mean, everything I say is just gonna be I already know that. But we'll do it. Wild Bill Williams. Ducky, I've already read this article. American reader on vacation in Paris claims to have overheard Wild Bill and Gwyn arguing in public while she was holding a baby and visibly pregnant. Not long after, Gwyn announced she was divorcing Wild Bill and also that she was pregnant again, giving this rumor more credibility. Ducky, what do you want me to do about it? Edison Records vs. Edsel? Whoops. Edison Records v. Edsel? So we're talking about this person, which is something Clementine. Is his name Edsel? Her name is Sophie of Puerto Rico? Puerto Rico? Interesting. My grandfather wrote a book. It's about overthrowing the American government to set up a fascist dictatorship led by not a neo-Nazi, but an actual Nazi from World War II. So, a little bit different. Is this implying that their name was Edsel? No. Rubber duck. You sure? A little bit, yeah. Both times. Okay, wait, what? She had been twice divorced, both times to her manager Sterling. That's kind of weird, right? You marry Sterling and get divorced, then you marry Sterling again and then get divorced a second time? Surely that can't be... Like, that ends your career with a religious audience? You know, you haven't you remarried, but you remarried with the same person. Surely that doesn't count, right? So I guess his name is actually Sterling Edsel. Okay. Anything else, Rubber Duck? You did it! I beat the game. That's you. I'm ready. I'm ready. I got it right. It was asking me like, oh, are you sure you got it right? Yeah, I got it right. Truly. Thank you, thank you.
Beatrice and Courtney May. Clark, can you swing another test against Bonnie's DNA?
This time I'll be sure to have them verify both samples in person.
1 week later.
You Using the family tree you filled out, as well as DNA tests, we were able to uncover the truth behind all the inconsistencies.
I was correct, wasn't I?
Clark's handling the business, but I've come to thank you and fill you in on everything we've learned. Buckle up, because it's been one heck of a week. Actually, that's an understatement. It's not every week you discover your family company is being sabotaged by someone they trusted. But that's the kind of time we've been having. Like I said, buckle up. Maybe grab some popcorn. We'll start with Guy Hudson. Guy had a frankly ridiculous number of potential children. What shocked me is how many graduated from potential to confirmed. We
Like
can
all of
even
them.
prove he was aware of them. The smoking gun was how he used company money to pay off a lot of women. He hid it with a method inspired by his idol, Elias. 5-piece flavors. The flavors he was paying to research were a ruse.
Putting it down. Thank you for keeping me honest, keeping me hydrated. Thank you. Okay, you know what? This one I didn't know. This is a huge revelation. Also very, very, very esoteric. That we're supposed to relate the names of the new candies with the names of his children is crazy.
He developed flavors based on the initials of the women he was paying. Which was really stupid, considering one of their names started with X.
Yeah. Incredible.
Let's start with Christine. Guy was paying her under the name Caviar, but there were some other clues. James was born 9 months after Zach's party. Christine was there with Guy, and when she got pregnant, she panicked. Steve stepped up. He even turned it into one of his recipe stories.
Yeah, we figured that out.
Not all of Guy's affairs led to offspring. He may have slept with Robin Martin, but she didn't have children, so we'll never know. Also, not every child of Guy's affair partners were his. Robert Garland was born after his parents had already moved to Boston.
Okay, I got one of them wrong. That's okay. Okay, well, you know, I was close. I said they were both confirmed. I got a half right.
Skipping Beatrice for now. Up next is Leng Xin Yu. When Guy showed up in China, she was into America. And Americans. Dare I say redheads, even?
Oh my god, that's what I'm supposed to... That's what I was supposed to gather from her being into Butch Cassidy posters?
When she got pregnant, her father paid key genes to fake IVF.
Yeah, I got
They
that.
claimed her sister was unable to conceive. But her sister and Jerry had their own son, Mark.
That makes sense. I didn't put that together. The conception must have been fake because there's no reason for them to use IVF since they're able to have biological children. I thought, you know, you could still have IVF even if you don't, you know, even if you can have biological children, right? I mean, I guess maybe it's extremely expensive, so there's no reason to, but, you know, whatever. Confirmed.
Sonia Alves was soon after. Nia was married at a very young age to a much older husband.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the story is about, the story of this DLC is about Guy Hudson specifically being a philanderer who slept with all of his secretaries and also all of his business partners when he went international with the company. So, you know, and he is white.
She resented him. I don't blame her. They allegedly spent no time together in private. Guy was in Brazil during Christmas 1979. It's the only Christmas not in the records.
As you can see.
Flavio was born 9 months later, and like the others, Guy started paying Sonia.
Confirmed.
Last was Susan Ford, hired to translate for Guy's overseas trips. It's easy to read into Guy's donation to her school, but there's no definitive proof there. She and Guy were witnessed together near the end of his life. Susan's husband was convinced he couldn't be the father of her daughters. Guy, though, paid double. The price of twins.
Confirmed, confirmed.
So, what about 5 Ps? Felix Fellow's mother, Joanna, doesn't have a 5 pieces flavor. On top of that, his story doesn't really add up. His mother already left the company by the time Guy became president, and his lyrics indicate he was born sometime around 1975.
Yeah, okay. I did put that together. Remember, I did bring up the fact that he described his 17th birthday in 1994.
Alone, that wouldn't necessarily prove it. But there are some suspicious connections between Felix and the company's current lawyer, Ruby Spratt.
They grew up together.
They both grew up in Portland, in foster care, and according to the local paper, they definitely knew one another. Ruby was the one who approached the Roottrees to begin with. It was all a setup. Ruby and Felix saw my book's challenge to the Clancet Trust as an opportunity. His mother really had worked for Roottree, and Ruby was a respected lawyer. She exploited my family's greed, worked her way into control of the trust, and ensured Felix got a piece. But they made some mistakes along the way. If you look at the 2 DNA tests that Ruby handled, they were both supposedly tested against Bonnie Hudson.
Okay.
But the 2 signatures that should both represent Bonnie don't match. After Clark and I confronted her, Ruby lawyered up. Ironic, I know.
Okay, I did not pick up on that. I thought they just faked the results. I didn't realize they actually went through all that trouble.
We suspect Ruby had Donatico test Felix against his own mother's DNA. He had a hairbrush of hers. They sent the female sample in remotely.
That's fucking crazy. You wanted me to remember that he had a hairbrush of... Okay, that's
On the second
insane.
test, Bonnie's sample was tested locally, but Courtney May's was not. Ruby's been throwing away samples. We think she sent her own hair instead of Courtney May's, but it could have been anyone's. Ruby and Felix were in cahoots. As for why, they were both advocates of wealth redistribution.
Yep, there we go. Our big villains. They're advocates of wealth redistribution. Her valedictorian speech was somewhat controversial at the time, as it was quite serious with a heavy focus on wealth inequality.
A noble effort. But once they controlled the family fortune, they became just as greedy as the worst members of my family. The money corrupted them. They were so eager to personally wield the wealth for their own cause that they sabotaged any other claims.
Got that one right.
That finally brings us to Anonymom, aka Beatrice Watts. Her tales of Guy's parties and payoffs were true.
They, I know you're joking, but they do have, I think, like 4 voice actors. Sam, Clark, the guy on the radio, and leave one else for who knows.
She even approached Ruby before 5Ps was on news time. Ruby used Beatrice's truths to make Felix's lies feel real, then ruin the DNA test so that Beatrice looked phony in the public court of opinion. I feel worst for her in all of this.
That makes sense. She was, well, I don't know. You were also done really badly, Sam. It's a toss-up, I think, who was done worse.
While Ruby and Felix stole the show, there were some other potential new family members as well. Miracle Roottree was less of an open and shut case. That said, it's very likely he had a son with Mary Beth Clementine. Not Stuart. Mary Beth adopted him before she ever set foot in Butler County.
Okay, I should have known that.
That leaves Mark. The timeline fits. He showed up about 9 months after Mary Beth visited Miracle, and the basket baby story is a bit too convenient. If that's not enough on its own, he was also bailed out by the sister of Edith Roottree, Miracle Jr.'s wife, after she changed her name to win that silly contest. Our best guess is that Mark was told by his mother whose son he was, and used that fact to put some pressure on Miracle Jr. We have no real proof of that, but nothing else really makes sense for why they'd be connected in that way.
Got that one wrong. I should have known it, but I wasn't going to measure the dates against each other. I wasn't going to count out the birth years. You figured it out.
Elias's affair was the most ambiguous. Gwyneth was able to coerce Elias to do things he wouldn't have otherwise done, like pressure to include me in the family. My son even mentioned them arguing about someone named Beth. Combined with Gwyneth's lisp, it's possible the name was actually Bess.
That's so complicated. I was supposed to remember that Gwyneth had a lisp, and that when she said Beth, it was Bess. That's so complicated. Eliath, please remember Tham. That's the only mention of her lisp, by the way.
Unfortunately, all we know about Bess Williams is that she wrote his book and died not long after, leaving her only son an orphan. The timeline fits with Wildcat, but there's no record if she had any other relationship. Honestly, I wouldn't say we had enough evidence either way.
But he was.
I wouldn't be surprised if Elias cheated. Of course, I'm a bit biased. Regardless, we haven't gotten in touch with any of the Williams clan yet. That means we haven't been able to do a DNA test. As Clark mentioned, from here on out, all of our DNA tests will be in person.
Why didn't
for
they
both parties?
Well, you're just not going to tell me whether I got that one right or not? I think
Lastly,
Hammer Bro
we
is
have
a
bit of a
son.
curveball. Ron Roottree isn't related to us by blood. Gwyn was definitely pregnant.
Yes,
So it's likely Robbie is.
because of the
When
Huntington's
Ron
disease.
and Robbie went to visit their mother at the end of her life, something changed. Additionally, there have been a few rumors circling around Ron. RR Productions canceled the Guys Like Us remake due to the director's illness. At the same time, Ron's wife Penelope began doing benefits for Huntington's disease, stating that she had become familiar with it. Huntington's is the same disease that Gwyn's former co-star Leslie Florence had. It's passed from parent to child. It can't skip a generation.
I know.
Because
That's why I'm
Gwyn
certain.
and Wild Bill didn't have Huntington's, and Ron seems to, it's impossible Gwyn was his mother. I recently confirmed all this with Ron. At the end of her life, Gwyn told Ron the story. Leslie and Bill had an affair the same year Leslie learned she had Huntington's. Leslie got pregnant. Leslie wasn't likely to survive to see her child grow up. And even if she did, she didn't want to be a burden. She begged Gwyn and Wild Bill to adopt her child.
That's kind of crazy.
Gwyn did. Mere weeks after she found out she was having her own son, she also took in Ron. Wild Bill was a problem. Unreliable and a serial adulterer. Gwyn divorced him and never saw him again. Gwyn had already told Starlet she was pregnant, so it never really made waves when people saw her with a child in Paris.
I don't know. I think it should have made waves when she said, I'm pregnant. And then, like, 4 weeks later, she has a baby and is still pregnant. I think that should have, clued someone in. To be fair, it didn't clue me in. That's not what let me know. It was the Huntington's disease that clued me in.
There was gossip during her divorce when she was discovered to be pregnant again. In actuality, it was the final months of her only pregnancy. To lay low, she stayed in Paris long enough that even her own family never had reason to question the timeline.
Oh.
It's one heck of a story, and frankly, nobody could be expected to piece the timeline together.
I did it.
Not with what few mentions of Gwyn's past have survived. But the Huntingtons itself? That's proof.
Okay, I guess I didn't. I guess I pieced it together with the Huntingtons. Got it. That's what I said.
Ron suing Robbie to remove him from the Clancid Trust was a huge moment in my story, and a major catalyst for this entire investigation. Finding out that it's been pretty much backwards this whole time has been a bit surreal. So that's where we're at. Looking over the information you sent us was useful.
I got it.
Without your tree, I'm not sure we would have ever discovered Ruby. All this information, this entire story, it's a lot, in more ways than one. Some of it has the potential to destroy marriages and ruin relationships.
Does it? I thought everyone that cheated is dead now.
We're handling it all very, very carefully. But we couldn't have gotten here without you. And with that, I guess our tale has finally, truly come to an
And
end.
thank fucking Christ has
What a
it.
strange one it was.
I was like I said at the beginning, I was dreading today because I knew that I had to finish the Roottrees Are Dead. But, you know, I shouldn't have been dreading it because it wasn't bad. You know, once I just needed a reset. I needed to take a week off. I got a little heated last week. I got a little hot under the collar. I said some things I shouldn't have said. I maybe had a little bit of a crash out. This week was fun again.
No
I still like
words
this
can
game.
Express how grateful I am to you for untangling this mess. Honestly, I've had enough of my family's eccentricities and scandals for one lifetime. I imagine you have as well.
I think it's so funny, Tian. Like, you're right. I should play Code Vein too. But I think that it's funny that you watched this game, and then you're like, you know what you would like? You would like to play Vampire Dark Souls 2.
And if not, well, there's always Elias's and Gwyneth's brothers and sisters.
Attention, attention, Roottrees. This is 5-Piece coming at you from the real world. You know, the place you ain't ever lived in.
You say money is the root of all your problems. Root of all your
Man,
problems.
y'all are hypocrites, sitting back in your massive estates, built from the cash that your ancestors gave you, acting like you somehow deserve it, based on your family's creations. Yo,
But look at here, sonny, don't you come for our money, or you might burn bright in hellfire someday, like that Madsen chick.
and her two dads. My pappy's Clancid Trust should keep you away. Yo, it's disturbing, catching a sermon from a geezer who's never known hurt, but blurts out these claims that somehow we're
I mean, it is a bass song a little bit.
your worth it came free with your name. You expect me to treat your lectures on greed as some expert creed from he with
Well, remember, he did
I turn my other
conspire
cheek. When you give me a kiss, you'll look
against
just what
the
it-
other
You say
actual, you know,
is the root
poor Roottrees that were entitled to money as well.
Take those problems away.
Whoever calls dollars the root of all evil, just trying to make small
Game Engine Godot.
people. You silver spoon feeds you the world's purest treacle, while real world folks burn their spoons with a needle. So once more with passion, tell this poor tragic orphan how your mansions and Porsches are actually horrible.
How I'm better off penniless, grasping for morsels. How one in my share,
That's actually extortion with your candy ass name, synonymous with sweets. Oh, you wanna call me classless? I'm gangster from Portland.
I think this game was really good. I will definitely be playing
You reppin'? A park
the studio's next game.
Monopoly is toppling. When I knock, have G's.
Top off my pockets, please.
Whenever that happens.
Not to steal my mom from me is what he wants, right? But you to live in poverty. And if you're suddenly not eager to unhand that fortune, that's unfortunate. I guess I'm gonna have to take my portion, and I'll do it all legally. Class action, courtroom, decorum. I'm way past your fancy ass dormant.
You say money is a root of all your problems. Let me take those problems away.
Oh, you can skip it.
You say money is a root of all your problems. Let me take those problems away. You say money is a root
Or
of
maybe you can't.
problems. Let me take those problems
Maybe you can only skip to a black screen.
Whoever calls dollars, the root of all
You still have to listen to the
make small pursuits.
entirety of the song.
People, you silver spoon thieves, you're the world's purest treacle. While real world folks burn their spoons for the needle. Whoever calls
They
dollars,
really freaking they got me, man.
make small
Pranked.
pursuits of real people. You silver spoon thieves, you're the world's purest treacle. While real
Now we get to look at nothing.
spoons for the needle. Whoever calls dollars.
I deserve it. What I deserve, honestly. Hello? Oh, hold on. Something appeared. What? Okay, so I hope it was worth it. Did they say that because I skipped the credits? Is that why they say I hope it was worth it? How long? You know, hold on. I can find out. Watch this. 1, 2. Is there? It popped up pretty much instantaneously on my screen. Here. Test. I'm 1. I'll send it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Is it? Was it? Am I stupid? The YT thing? Are you live, Tien? Like, if you look at YouTube, there's the live button in the bottom right, like kind of where I am here. Because that is a thing that, for me, YouTube tends to be more... No, there's a little bit of a greater delay, but... Okay. I'm not sure. I hope it's not that long. I have it set to not be long. It says that it should be like a 2 to 5 second delay in my settings. On Twitch, it's like 3 seconds. I can do it on Twitch too. Here. On 3, I'll do a test. 1, 2, 3. What? Oh, I only have it set on Twitch. Whoops. Sorry. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3. It is slower on YouTube. You can see that it's slower on YouTube. For me. And, I mean, it should be fast for me, right? Because it's like... I don't know. I honestly have no idea how it works. I can do it too. 1, 2, 3. What do you mean see? There's no way for me to see. I don't know when you sent test. You might have sent that 30 minutes ago. Oh, you know how we could do it? You know how we can do it? You know how we could do it? I'll count to 3, and on 3, Yin send a message, okay? Do that. So, get your message ready. When I say 3, hit enter. 1, 2, 3. Okay, well, maybe I didn't give you enough time. Okay, that was like really fast, right? That's like a second. That's like a second on Twitch. What about on YouTube? Anyone have YouTube pulled up right now? I mean, you know, there's reasons to watch on YouTube. YouTube doesn't have ads. In Twitch, I don't choose to run ads. Twitch does it regardless of what I say. Okay. Then on YouTube, same deal. Get your message ready. On 3, we'll send it. 1, 2, 3. Holy shit, that was like a 15-second delay, huh? You're not kidding. That's a long delay, man. What on earth? I'll look into it on my end and see if maybe they accidentally reset the setting that's low latency. But that's crazy. I don't think that it means YouTube's like significantly worse. I think it's good that there are no ads on YouTube. And I think that, you know, not having instantaneous messages isn't the worst thing. Like, I do tend to read the messages the second that they come in, but, you know, what if there's a 5 to 10 second delay between you sending and me reading them? Is that the worst thing in the world? I still read them. I still answer them. I don't know. It would be annoying to me, though, personally. So, I get it. I'll take a look into it and see. That is true. Things move quickly. Things move quickly in the 10 seconds. I don't tend to wait. Screaming at me. I'm sorry. Context wouldn't make sense. I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do for next Thursday. Since now we've beaten the Roottrees Are Dead. There's a slot available. I could do Code Vein too. I will do Code Vein 2 eventually. I really liked Code Vein 1. I've been kind of avoiding doing third-person over-the-shoulder games. You know? Just because I have been playing every Silent Hill game in order, and they're all third-person over-the-shoulder games, action games. And I'm not quite done, because we do have one Silent Hill game left to play, and that's what we're going to be playing next Monday. You know, that's Silent Hill 2 Remake. So I don't know. I know that next Monday we'll be starting Silent Hill 2 Remake. That's what I know for sure. Next Thursday, I don't want to get your hopes up, Tien, because I want to say that I probably will not start Code Vein next Thursday. Just because it is a third-person action game, and I don't know if I want to have 2 third-person action games going at the same time. It might have to wait until after I finish Silent Hill 2 Remake. But I don't know. May, June. Let me see. I have a list. I have an incomplete list of games that I'm looking at. What's on there? Harvester, Sanity's Requiem. Some of these are also third-person action games, which is why I haven't, been playing them. Like Sanity's Requiem is a third-person action game. 999, Professor Layton, Alan Wake 2 is a third-person action game. Also, they want me to play Control first. They tell me I should play Control first, chat does. Siberia is a point-and-click adventure game. Longest Journey is a point-and-click. Sanitarium is a point-and-click. Neon White and Ghost Runner are both first-person shooters that I'm not, all that interested in personally. Not right now. I mean, those were more for, like, homework. But I don't need to do homework right now. Outer Wilds is a first-person puzzler, I think. Little Misfortune is a point-and-click. Bioshock 2, we did play. We did play Bioshock 2. Doki Doki Literature Club. Mirror's Edge, which is also homework. Necro Barista, I don't know, that might just be a VN. Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. I'm pretty sure I already had that on the list, but that's okay. The Dog Island for PS2. Beyond Good and Evil is a third-person action game. Baten Kaitos, I don't know what that is at all. 1000X Resist. Rhyme, I think that's a third-person platformer. On Your Tail, Stories Untold, I don't know what these are. Neva is the side-scrolling platformer. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Cranberry juice going down. Thank you for the hydrate. I don't drink otherwise, by the way. If you don't use the hydrate command, I don't drink at all over the course of the, 3 to 6 hour stream. You just don't think about it, because you're too busy talking all the time. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Nobody Wants to Die, which is apparently a cyberpunk detective first-person shooter. Umurangi Generation, which is a retro photography game, is what it says next to it. Little Guardsman Blood, which is a first-person shooter from 1997. Sally Face, I don't know what that is. Faith, the Unholy Trinity, we did play that one. We played it and beat it. I liked that game so much. We played it and beat it, and then on my own time, I watched like 6 different playthroughs of it. I watched Fauna play it. I watched Gouda play it. I watched Yuka play it. I watched Narissa Ravencroft play it. There may have been someone else. I don't know. I don't remember. Oh, Bao. I think I started watching Bao play it. Cultic, I don't know what that is. Neverway, no idea. Rhythm Doctor, I could take a guess. Haunted Grounds, a PS2 survival horror, that's a third-person game. Paranorma Sight, 7 Mysteries of Honjo, no clue. Dim Haven, The Lost Source, no idea. And then I wrote Alan Wake 2 and Beyond Good and Evil again. So, I don't know. Nothing I said there like really like jumped out at me and was like, ooh, play this, you know? So I don't know. Thankfully, I do have a week to think it over. I have a week to think it over and figure it out. The turn-based RPG for GameCube? Why the hell would I have a turn-based RPG for GameCube on my list? Baten Kaitos. Eternal Wings in the Lost Ocean. A cult classic? I don't think I've ever played a turn-based RPG on the channel, though. I don't know the last time I played a turn-based RPG. Final Fantasy 12? Like, years ago by myself? I've only played one Fire Emblem, and it was Fire Emblem Awakening, and I did not play it very much. I don't know a lot about Fire Emblem. Oh, you know what? Interestingly enough, I was just looking at the Baten Kaitos Wikipedia page, scrolling. Composer? Motoi Sakuraba. You know who that is? I recognize his name. Why? Because he was the composer for Dark Souls 1. Motoi Sakuraba. Tales? He did the Tales series? Here, I'm looking at... I'm looking at this. These are his video games. Looking for things I recognize. Tales of Fantasia, Star Ocean, Mario Golf, Valkyrie Profile, Mario Tennis. I didn't know he did. That's kind of crazy. He did Mario Tennis. Tales of Eternia, Star Ocean again, Golden Sun. He's kind of done a lot. I only knew he did Dark Souls. This guy's done way more than I thought he did. I honestly thought it was like just Dark Souls. I didn't know he did anything else. Tales of Warhite, Tales of the Abyss. Literally just all of them, huh? Eternal Sonata, Tales of the Tempest of the World. He did all of the Star Oceans and all of the Tales games. Tales of Symphonia, Vesperia, Tales of Hearts. They kind of made too many of those games, I'm realizing. Tales of Graces. Tales of Xillia. Then finally, Dark Souls. I didn't know Dark Souls came out in 2000. Can I be honest? I thought Dark Souls came out in 2008. Tales of Hearts. Tales of Symphonia Chronicles. Dark Souls 2. I also didn't know there were so many Star Ocean games. I thought there were only 3 Star Ocean games. Apparently, so there's also a million of those. He made the battle music for Higurashi. Tales of Arise, another Star Ocean game. Another Star Ocean game. Mario Tennis Fever. And then apparently he did music for the anime for Star Ocean. And Tales of the Abyss and Tales of Zestiria. And I have listened to his album, What's Up. It is fine. I thought his album, What's Up, was okay. It was fine. You know, it's not like, oh, you should go listen to it. I would never recommend it, but it's, you know, it's not, it's inoffensive. Inoffensive prog rock record. But anyway, good stream. I had a good time, you know? I like this game. Stretching. I like this game. It was a good time. I'm glad it's over. This game and Silent Hill F have been going in conjunction for so long. Silent Hill F. We played for like 30 hours. Cranberry juice. We did 6 streams of Silent Hill F. You know, can I tell you? Can I tell you? It's kind of weird. Kind of weird to think that Silent Hill F is over. Because I've been playing this game every Monday for the last 6 weeks. And now suddenly it's done? Now I'm just never going to play the game again? Isn't that weird? It feels so strange to me. I think it must be the longest game we've ever streamed. 6 weeks of it? I don't know. I feel like a little bit... I'm relieved that it's done so that we can do more stuff. But at the same time, you know, I'm also a little bit sad about it not being there. You know, that I'm not gonna, on Monday, boot up Silent Hill F and play through that for a 4th time. I'll be okay, though. It's fine. I don't know. Maybe I'm being overly sentimental about a game that I've only played for 6 weeks. But then after we beat Silent Hill 2, then I have to deal with the fact that I played all the Silent Hill games. And we've been playing Silent Hill games for months, you know? It's coming to an end. How strange. Who knows what we're gonna do after? Anyway. That is where I want to call it today. I'm gonna start getting edited videos back out, because that is how you grow the channel. That's how you grow viewership. It's YouTube videos. So I have to go and do that. But for now, I'd like to thank everyone that joined us. Thank you again. Thank you, Alrose. Jaffa showed up earlier. Thank you to the VOD watchers. But with that having been said, wait, sorry, I gotta fix my outro, because I'm used to saying, I think I usually say, like, with that having been said, I'd like to thank everyone that joined us. It's been a wonderful time. I hope you had a wonderful time here as well. We're doing it every Monday and Thursday from now until the end of time, 3 p.m. PST. We've got movie time on Sunday, 3 p.m. PST. We're going to be watching Full Metal Alchemist. Nope. Hold on. I love Full Metal Alchemist, but Full Metal Jacket by Stanley Kubrick. And with that having been said, I'd like to bid you all goodbye, and also, good night.